Hello friends, my name is Murtaza Bhatti and I'm an accountant in Toronto. So in this video, I'm gonna show you how to fill in a T2125 form, 2125. As you know, that T2125 form is attached with your personal income tax return if you're self-employed or if you have any business or commissions income. So in this form, you can put in all your income details and all the expenses details. So one of the things is that you can use whatever software you're using. You can just go to that form, find the T2125 form, and even if you're doing it manually, you can download the form from CRA website. Otherwise, on any software, it's going to be the same input fields for all the forms. So let's see. I'm going to explain it to you on the screen now.
So I'm going to explain you the form T2125 in detail in this video. The form T2125, which the title or the name of that form is Statement of Business or Professional Activities. So if you're so just a quick introduction to this form. So since you're self-employed, it means that you're not going to be you're not getting any kind of income from any employment, or in that case you would be getting a T4 slip for filing your tax return, or you're not a contractor, or if you're getting a T4A slip, you might be using this form. So for these self-employed people, they have to do they're running their own kind of a small their own business. So they could be, as I said, any kind of driver, Uber driver or whatever, delivery, Uber Eats or something, those kind of drivers, or any professional, or any person who's running an Amazon store or e-commerce store, or anyone who's running their own professional practice, the dentist or something, whatever. So they have to report their net income. So net income means that you have to report an income which is after deduction of all the expenses. So for example, if you earn $100 in the year and you spend $30 to make that income, that $30 are your business expenses, and that $100 is your business income. So the net amount is going to be $70. So those $70 need to be reported in your tax return, which becomes your taxable income. Like your tax is going to be calculated on that $70. Now, in your personal tax return, in the T1 General, there is no, obviously you have to attach some document with that, which carries the detail of all the income and the expenses for your business. So for that, we use the T2125 form, or the Statement of Business or Professional Activities. So this form, it is a 7-8 pager form, which carries all the information about your business activity, where it is located, what's the status, what's the accounting method you're using, all the income, all the sales tax, and then the expenses, all kind of expenses, and then it gives you the net income, which then goes into your tax return and gets taxed, whatever the tax bracket it attracts and all those. So now moving on, I've just, if you're preparing your tax return manually, then you would go to CRA's website and download a T2125 form, which is right here in front of you. And if you are, most of the times you'll be using any software to file your taxes or prepare your tax return. So then in that software you have to find T2125 form and fill that in. So I will be I'm just going to show you the form here. So as you can see that this form, it is quite there is quite a lot of pages attached into this form, around 7 pages. So it's 7 of 7. So these 7 pages, you don't have to fill all those 7 pages, but you'll just have to fill the sections or the fields which are related to your business, right? So just quickly, I'll just quickly scroll through this PDF just to show you the form. And in your software, you're gonna see the same fields in the software as well. But obviously, the software data entry is easier, and the calculations are done automatically. But in this form, if you're preparing your tax return manually, then you have to do the data entry and also perform the calculations and put the right amounts calculated amounts in the right fields. So looking at this, one of the things that this form has parts. So as you can see, part 1, which is identification, part 2, internet business activities. So you'll find all the parts here, and the total of all these parts is going to be, I think, 7 or 9 parts. And then you have some further attachments or annexures to these parts. Okay, moving on. One other thing is that all these fields you're gonna find in the software as well. Whatever software you're using, all these fields will be present in that software. The presentation could be different, but you will be able to find these fields that you see on this form. You'll be able to see all these fields in the software as well. So now I'm going to switch to the software that I am using. So I use this software, and you can see it's almost the same kind of presentation in here. And I can actually do. I think I can do this. Yeah. So I just made this file up, and now I'm gonna explain you how to fill in these forms and what all these fields mean, right? The fields that we mostly use. So the first part is identification. So identification means like the business that you're running or the practice that you're doing. How do you identify that? So for this one, you obviously gonna be using your name is gonna come here, your social insurance number, because this is your since you're self-employed or a sole proprietor. So your tax return, the T2125 form is gonna go in as an attachment to your personal tax return, right? So that is why your name and your social insurance numbers are mentioned here. Business name, it could be your own name, or if there is a name to the business that you're running, if you have a master business license or you have the rights to use that name for the business, you can put the name here. And the business number is if you have registered that number and got a business name from CRA, business number from CRA, you're going to put that number here, the 9-digit. And if you're HST registered, you're going to use the first 9 digits of that number over here as well. You can put those in. But that's not a mandatory field though. The address of the business, it's the address that you're going to put is going to be your the address of the business. So it could be if you're running the business from your home address, you're going to put the same thing here. Otherwise, it could be the address of your shop or office or whatever you have. You're going to put those in. Fiscal year means the year for which you're reporting your business financials. So it starts from, let's say, your fiscal year. So I'm just going to actually put this information in. Murtaza's shop. Okay, business address, Main Street, or I can write 40 Winford, City, Toronto, Ontario, M3C, M3C1J5. And the date is gonna be 2022. Oh, sorry, it's gonna be from the start. So 2021, 0101, and 2021, 12/31. Was it last year? No, it's still a continued business. So let's say if, what's the main product? So let's say I'm an, I'm just what do you call it? I'm just a e-commerce seller or online retail something. Industry code is important. So for example, I'm just gonna select, or let's say I'm an Uber driver, so I'll write Uber rides here, and then go to the industry code and select the code for Uber drivers. I know it's taxi drivers or taxi business, so I'm going to put taxi service here. And most of the times it's cash. The difference, if you're an accountant, you would know the difference. Otherwise, if you're doing your accounting for the whole year, after the year, mostly you're going to put the cash here. You're going to select cash. Over here, I'm going to put my name or whoever is preparing this. Part two is for internet business. So if you're doing an internet business, if you have a website from which you're making the bringing the revenue in, if you have a Facebook page or website or some whatever URL that is helping you get the revenues or sales, you're gonna put those over here. Let's go to page 2. Now the part 3A is related to business income. So over here you're going to put the business income. So for example, and commission income. So you have to tell which income is it. Is it business or commission? Because if it's commission, it's going to be treated differently for tax purpose. And if it's business, it is a different case. So let's say I have a business income for the Uber drivers. So I'm gonna put let's say $1,000 here. Where this information is coming from, it depends. If you're doing your so for Uber drivers, you're gonna get the information from the Uber tax summaries and do some calculations for all your expenses and all that. If you are a business, let's say you are a sole proprietor or an e-commerce seller, you would be doing your bookkeeping and you would have your financial statements, at least the profit and loss or the income statement there. So you're going to put get the numbers from there and put the number here. And then if there is HST on your sales, you're going to put that here. And you can see the calculations. Now the software is doing the calculations for you. But if you were using the PDF, you would have been doing the calculations yourself. And you can see the labeling. So 3A is income, 3F, all these boxes or field labeling, it's the same over here in the software as well. But the calculations are done automatically. Okay, so if you're a professional, let's say you're a lawyer or you're some kind of some other person, pharmacist or whatever, and you are you get the professional income, you're going to put that information over here. And tick this box and put the information here. Part 3, gross business or professional income. So this part is actually related to if there is any adjustment to your income, you're going to put the information over here in this field. So for example, if I'm an Uber driver, I'm going to put the tips here and say I got $100 of tips. Okay, part 3D. So part 3, we are still in the part 3 and D part. So it's further now. If so, this is applicable to not to the people who are providing any services, but it's definitely applicable to people who are selling some product. They would have some closing inventory, or they bought some inventory during the year. So all the inventory movement comes over here. So opening inventory, whatever it was left in the previous year, comes in as an opening inventory. Then you did some purchases, blah blah, all the direct costs and expenses. You're gonna put those here, and then it will eventually, the last thing that it's gonna give you is the cost of goods sold, and then the gross profit is gonna be calculated. So since we don't have any inventory, or we're not in the inventory business, that's why we won't put any months here. Let's go to part 3. So part 3 is more of about the expenses, general expenses that a business usually has. So you're gonna, if you're a seller, you're gonna put advertising, meals and entertainment, a bit tricky area. For taxi drivers, truck drivers, it's a bit tricky, and even Uber drivers. Interest and bank charges, all these expenses, they're quite self-explanatory, so you can understand these. And so whatever expenses you have, you're gonna put those in. Keep in mind, if you're charging HST, then you're gonna put the net amounts here. Don't include the HST. And also, so all those amounts are gonna come here. Let's go to part 4. Is quite okay. One more thing. So you're not gonna put any amount over here, which is the CCA. So CCA is the capital cost allowance, which is, let's say, the depreciation or the amortization, which we're gonna calculate in another part, or the schedule, and the motor vehicle expenses as well. So whatever expenses are there for your car, or the vehicle that you're using for business purpose, the expenses are not going to come here. You're going to be doing that calculation in a later page. Moving on to part 5, not really very important, but if you're in a partnership, then you're going to be using this part 5 here. And it's about how much, what's your partnership agreement like, arrangement like, and what's your income as a result of that arrangement. You're going to put that those adjustments here. Let's go to page 4. So part 6, again related to partnerships. Not very relevant. It depends, but you can put the expenses here, and whatever is your share of the expenses, you're going to put those in here. Part 7 is important, calculating business use of home expenses. So for example, since I've been using that example again and again, and I think that's quite a relevant one. So if you're an e-commerce seller, you might be using your own house, your home, for some for your business, or if you're a freelancer, you're using your space for business. So you have to, you can actually claim your expenses for your home as a business expense, right? How that calculation is done is a bit tricky, and we can explain that in a later video. But for example, all those expenses, your heat, electricity, insurance, maintenance, blah blah, all your expenses can be put over here, and then you have to tell what's the personal percentage of your of personal use of that home, and what's the percentage of the business use. So obviously you'll be able to deduct the business use of those of your what do you call it, expenses, of all those expenses. Part 8, again related to partners. You can go into this, and not very much applicable. Detail of equity, again, not really applicable for us. Okay, this is important. This is for the calculation of capital cost allowance. So this is basically the depreciation of your assets. So if you're using any machinery or equipment for your business, so for example, your laptop or computers or furniture and all those, you're going to be using this form. So over here, there's a CCA for equipment and buildings, and then there's CCA for motor vehicles. So if you have those assets like computers and fixtures and printers and this and that of high value, or or the usage goes beyond is spread over several years, then you're going to be using the calculating the CCA, and you're going to be putting the right class of that asset, and then put the cost and everything over here. Similarly, since we're doing it for Uber drivers, so Uber drivers, obviously most of them use a vehicle. If it's an own vehicle, they're going to be using this part. They're going to be using CCA expense on their motor vehicle. So they're going to be putting in the class and the amount over here in the form, and the software is going to calculate this for them. So for example, 10 class 20,000 is so you can see the software has calculated the depreciation by itself, which is 30%. And then if there's been changes in the assets, so for example, if you bought a new motor vehicle during the year and sold the old one and all those, so you're going to be using different like subparts of this form. Now going to another important page, which is page 7, which is for the motor vehicle. So it says chart A, motor vehicle expenses. So over here in the motor vehicle expenses, all the expenses related to your motor vehicle which has been used for business purpose are to be provided in this area. Make sure you provide all those expenses over here, not in the part 4 of the form. Okay, so going back to page 7, page 3 is not for motor vehicle expenses. Page 7 is for motor vehicle expenses. So the first thing you're going to tell what's the mileage on your car, and what was the total mileage, and what was the mileage specifically for the business use. And that's it kind of a percentage, you know. So let's say my whatever total kilometers I drove during the year was like 3,000 kilometers, and for the business I used let's say 1,500, so it's 50%, you know what I mean. Okay, fuel and oil. Now these expenses quite self-explanatory, so you're gonna put the fuel expense here, interest over here, but you have to calculate it down here in chart B, right? So this interest is mostly the finance cost of your vehicle, right? The interest on your finance arrangement, sorry. And then the insurance on the vehicle, license and registration, all the repair and maintenance, leasing. If you have a leased vehicle, then the amount is going to come here, but it's going to be calculated in chart C, leasing cost per passenger, right? And then, electricity for zero emission. This is like the fuel over here. This is for the electricity. Other expenses, let's say car wash and this and that, all those expenses related to the motor vehicle will be put over here, right? One more thing. So let me just put like $300 for the gas, and insurance is, let's say, $1,200, and my $120, and maintenance is $340. I'm just making these up. Tolls $50. Okay. And you can see the calculation. So this business use, this is calculated over here, right? So the total expenses is 2010, but what you're gonna claim is 50% of it, which is $1,005. Okay. And let me tell you one thing. If I go to page number 3, now you see 1,005 coming here, and this is the motor vehicle expenses, not including CCA. So where is the CCA? The CCA is the next line, which is 3,000. Why is it 3,000? Because if I go to page number 5, because the total depreciation was 6,000, but since 50% of the use of vehicle is for business, that is why I can only claim 3,000. Page 7, we were okay, done with this. This is for the interest, this is for the lease, and for page number 8, if you have more than one vehicle, the second vehicle cost, it's going to come here, And if you have additional information, especially for your equipments and your new equipment, you're going to put over here. And if you sold the equipment, you're going to put over here. So these are just the supplemental sheets. So I'm just going to go back to my PDF and quickly show you. So this is part 3, cost of goods sold. This is for the expenses and home use for the office. Over here, we discussed this already. The CCA, depreciation calculation. These are the forms as we saw. Motor vehicle, chart A. So this is for the first car and then other cars. Okay, so this is just for the sake of further understanding, I'm just going to put some expenses here. We did it today, my fare for dollars, and some supplies is $45, and professional fee for the accounting, let's say, is $250, and all those expenses here, and put the phone expense here, which is gonna be, let's say, $600. So now you can see that at the end, in the box 9369, net income loss before adjustments. So this is automatically calculated. So right now it shows a negative amount of, so it's 3,980, a negative amount, which means that there is a loss. So my income is far less than what my expenses are. So this amount is gonna go into your T1 general, and as if it's whatever the tax calculation or treatment with this amount is, that's a further discussion. But this is the amount that is taxable if it is an income, obviously. So this is what it is. So that's what T2125 form is. It's very important if you're a self-employed person, if you're a sole proprietor, if you're running any kind of business by your own, if you're not incorporated, and if you're a partnership, then you're gonna be calculating all your income and expenses in this form using the T2125. So I hope this video was helpful. Is helpful to you people. And if you have any questions, you can put your questions in the comment box. And if you want to subscribe to our channel, please do so. We'll talk to you soon on another important topic. Have a good day. Bye.